This is The Edge of Excellence, empowering people to shape the future. Let's inspire, innovate, and explore together.
Hello, and welcome to The Edge of Excellence. I'm Jess, DeForge, and today we're talking about what it takes for IT leaders to be truly heard inside business.
And I'm Bryon Beilman, and joining us today is Phil Howard. And I've known Phil for quite some time, and Phil has built a career around enterprise IT leadership, providing vendor-neutral advice and real conversations with CIOs, CTOs, IT directors, and technology leaders. And through his podcast work and advisory model, he helps IT leaders cut through vendor noise, make better decisions, and communicate technology in a way that business can understand. Phil, welcome to The Edge of Excellence.
Hey, Bryon, thank you. And we haven't known each other for some time, so it's fun. Thanks for that bio. I hope that we can live up to that for the next 200 years.
Yeah, we'll get into it a little bit throughout the segment, but we've worked together in many ways. And so I think you bring a lot of value. And I was really excited to get you on this podcast because you're not only a great businessman, but you are a really interesting person. So I that's why I told Jeff, we got to get Phil on. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's no fun being like everybody else, I think, or just being whatever that thing is that they call normal, which I don't think anyone really knows anymore. I don't even know what normal is anymore. Yeah. All right.
So diving into that, Phil, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah. So I graduated college creative writing major because I didn't want to go pre-med or stick with the chemistry major. Everyone in my family's a doctor, and you don't just become a doctor because everyone else in your family was a doctor. So you go creative writing. And then when you graduate with a creative writing degree, what do? You go work for Starbucks. And then when you have your first two kids, you're like, crap, I've got to make money. What am I going to do? So you leave and you go work for a Cisco startup. And that's how I got all of my experience or got started in technology. So that happened. And then I ended up continuing to have children. We goal planned it. My wife and I we said we're going to have 5 kids. And then when we got to 4, I was like, honey, this is, really wild and crazy. I don't think we need any more kids. And she's like, we said you always want to have 5 kids. You came from a family of 5 and all right. And then we ended up having twins. So go figure, you go from 4 to 6. And then at that point, we're just like, all right, whatever.
We're in it now.
let's see what the Lord above hands us. And then we just kept having kids. And so now I have 8 kids. And when you have 8 kids, you start to think, you're working in the corporate world. I'd been at, this Cisco startup, and then I was doing fixed to wireless, and I moved back to Massachusetts and worked for a company called Broadview, which got purchased by Windstream. We don't need to say anything about how Windstream and what they do to companies, but I don't know, what do we have? Yeah, we're at 8 kids now. When you make $220,000 a year, whatever they call it, the golden handcuffs, but when you have 8 kids, it's still kind of paycheck to paycheck nowadays, sadly.
Yeah.
So eventually, when Broadview was getting ready to sell, a lot of my buddies at a company called Convergence Network Services Group said, "Hey, Phil, you got to come over and work with us and do, I guess you would call it consulting. I call it vendor neutral advisory work." I always wanted to be a solution provider, not just like a salesperson that sells someone one product and tries to fit a square peg into a round hole type of thing. I've always been a big believer that each company has a unique group of end users and has a unique challenges, unique business challenges that technology can help solve. And there's never a one size fits all answer when it comes to technology. And technology never works perfect unless you have Bryon and Iuvo working with you guys. Then we also know there's never problems, right? So I left, and that was kind of it. And I remember Dave Wilson at the time saying, "Phil, just put your head down to work. I don't want you worrying about anything. I don't want you worry about where money's coming from or anything." I was on food stamps for 1 month. The government did approve me because I went from having a job to not having a job.
Yeah.
So I do like to say, yes, I was living off food stamps for 1 month. But they quickly took those away when they realized that I could do what I do. And anywho, so that's how we kind of eventually left. And then it was how do we serve the people that we love? And the people that I love are IT leaders. And I figured there's a bunch of people that don't appreciate technology. At the time, small business owners can be, I love small business owners, don't get me wrong, but I'm one of them. They can, you know what I mean? They can be very needy and they can expect a lot for their technology and they want to pay as little as much for that. Whereas manufacturers, logistics companies, healthcare companies, larger enterprise companies, really, the IT leaders there really know that technology is a business force multiplier, and how you use technology really makes a massive difference in the world. And those are the people that I wanted to work with. And that's why we started a podcast back then. It was called Dissecting Popular IT Nerds for years. And what we realized is that there is a significant problem that many IT leaders have. And that is they kind of started out in IT like I did. They were some other job. You didn't go to school for becoming a VP of IT in the 80s. You really didn't. You might go for computer science and this philosophy of computer stuff. But if you talk with most VPs of IT or CTOs, they were doing something else. They were in the Army. They were an engineer. They were an English major. There were any number of things other than I went to school to be a VP of IT. And what we found is they got to their roles putting out fires, changing printer cables, fixing other people's computer problems. And then they kind of naturally fell into that technology role. And now here they are sitting at this executive roundtable after years of putting out fires, dealing with the IBM AS400 old server running whatever. And many of you still have that out there. And it's great that they have the seat at the executive roundtable. And when everything's on fire and all kinds of problems are going on, you're the most valuable person in the company. But when everything's running like a well-oiled Tesla, you become a cost center. So we like to say, how nice is it? It's nice, right? It's nice to have a seat at the executive roundtable, but how much nicer would it be to actually be heard, to be brought in on technology conversations from the beginning, to be respected and understood, and not just that guy that's talking about hypervisors and other things to kind of gloss over the leadership, and actually learn how to kind of speak the language of business and bridge that gap between IT speak and business, and actually help actually be heard. And the way that IT leaders get heard is not by hiding in the server closet anymore, where we slip pizzas under the door to you. You actually have to learn the language of business, be able to translate that and apply it. And the interesting thing about a lot of IT leaders is they're very curious individuals. They aren't maybe like the natural business leaders. They're the natural like tinkerers and stuff. And so somehow I've fallen into this I don't know, IT leadership whisperer role.
You said something that resonated with me just a moment ago. Of we have a phrase we used to say: "You're in IT, or you're either invisible or in trouble," right? And yeah, so you're everybody's like, "What happened? The printer's down, whatever's down, and you're in trouble." And then things are running so well, they like, "Is he doing anything?" And so the thing that you're elucidating on here is that even when you're invisible, or you shouldn't be invisible, you should be able to communicate all the things the value you're providing to businesses. And I think that's and I know that we try to hire those type of people that have that are not just nerds and technical. They have a sense about them to talk to people and find out real problems. So I totally appreciate the kind of audience and the people that you resonate with, because we also resonate with that.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you have any advice that you could give to IT leaders who maybe know the right decision, but are struggling to get that executive buy-in.
Yeah, I think it depends. Well, first of all, a lot of them are going to say, hey, it depends on the organization. Did I pick the right place to work at? Number one, pick a place to work at where you know you can make a difference. A lot of people just take a job because they need one, right? This sounds like career advice 101. But other than that, make sure you sit with your CFO, make sure you sit with your CEO, make sure you're asking your CFO when it comes to technology, what's your single biggest frustration, problem, or concern here, right? What am I doing right? What are other people that have been in my position before What have they done what have they missed on? What do they not do? Right. And then if you don't have the business, you don't have to go out and get an MBA, right? It helps. I think it helps. But we've had this debate a lot, even on my show, which is like, do you need an MBA? Does it help? It's going to matter at some companies. If you want to apply to certain companies, they're going to require that. But I think you can get the equivalent and you can crash course your way to a business education pretty quickly. Learn terms like EBITDA, understand things about key man risk, look at these various different things, understand, customer acquisition cost and these various different things that are like really, really important. And then make sure that you're sitting with each department in your company. Every CTO, CIO is going to say these type of things that are important, right? But make sure that you're applying technology in a way that helps them do their job better, faster, more efficient, etc. And don't be that. If you can, as much as possible, get away from that. We're the department of IT. And I don't see this a lot. I know it exists, but I think I would encourage people to, what's the saying? Put their mouth where the money is, or something like that. I would encourage people to ask for an MBO or a management by business objectives and say like, hey, I'm getting paid this right now, but if I'm able to drive XYZ KPIs by this percentage, then I would be entitled to this percentage of a bonus, right? So a results-oriented role. And I don't know how I would, my guess is that that would make a lot of CTOs and a lot of CIOs nervous, is having a quota, right? Like a salesperson would, right? Being under more pressure, as opposed to the guy that's the technology guy. And I love what I'm doing. And I definitely don't sleep at night thinking about ransomware and all these different things. But how do you tie yourself to the business results wise? And do you even understand how to do that? I think sometimes it's kind of like this, like glossing over. I wouldn't even know where to begin.
I want to talk about something you just said there, and some of the things I would think about that, seeing along to Jess's question about like helping IT leaders get that level, is I think it's really a lot of IT people need to understand the business you're working in, right? They go, okay, I'm good at IT. I'll make sure viruses and so forth. But then they say, well, how are you going to sell more? How are you going to be more efficient? How are you, like, if you say, I want to put, you mentioned the zero trust or whatever it may be. If we're going to do this, what impact does it have to the business? Well, is it reputation that you're not going to get in the papers for being hacked? Is it a requirement for being compliant for a certain thing? Your biotech or your finance, like we have to be compliant, or it's a customer. You get a big customer. Some of the bigger, if you're enterprise, to get a big customer, they say, well, we need to make sure you're secure and you're this and that, and be able for an executive to say, yep, we're all set. My IT people did that, right? So asking these questions like, what's important to a quota, like, okay, you want to sell faster. Okay, let me help you with the CRM and all that. Because IT has, right now, as you know, IT is in everything, right? And I think it's just asking that question, really understanding the business, I think it really helps them.
Collaborating, working together. Like, how can I help you do your job better, faster with technology? Like if there is, really asking them what their biggest challenges are and helping fill those gaps. As far as selling the zero trust thing and stuff like that, how to make that, I don't know, exciting when it's announced. I mean, it got approved, right? Like the money got approved. We know that we need it. We know these things, right? Like everything that you just said. But then when it actually does get approved, how do we make it so that they're like, yes? It's a matter of really kind of being everyone's like friend. Maybe have a newsletter. I was thinking about this day. I'm going to force my integrator to write an AI. He's really good with AI. I mean, like he is way above everyone else. I think he could easily be recruited and paid $300,000 a year and stolen from me. Greg. That's Greg. Don't send him this.
Really?
Yeah. It's like, but if I ask him to like start like doing like some kind of like post on social media, he's like using like AI to do it, and it comes out like really lame, right? So I'm going to, Greg, I'm just so you know, I'm going to force you to do this every day next week, which is you have to write a post, and you're not allowed to use AI to write the post, but the post has to be about AI, right? And it has to be, this is a little, I used to write this daily email all the time, and it was kind of crazy, and I want to kind of get back to that, but I want him to do this daily AI post, and it has to be entertaining, it has to be educational, and it has to elevate. It has to do these three things, right? So from the entertaining piece, it could be a meme. It could be some other stupid thing that we've seen about AI today. It could be the next screenshot of some guy on LinkedIn trying to sell me some AI transformation. It could be any number of these things. That's like, hey, look what this guy did with AI today to get him fired, right? Like that would be like the subject line, right? It's got to be entertaining, number one. Educational, because he knows more about this stuff than like anyone. It's like crazy. It's like, let's build a bot. Like, let's build an agent today. Something about like, hey, look what I did today. And you're like, oh my gosh, he's so far ahead of me. What do I do? But I just learned a lot of how to integrate with this and build that. And then it's got to elevate. And what's really weird is that I noticed that the companies that were doing this spent way too many tokens on this. And from what I see from that, it's like AI is not going to really be anywhere in the next 5 years. Like, whatever it is, right? I'm going to make him do that post every day next week in the community. But it has to have those three things, and it can't be written with AI. And what if the CTO or the CIO did that and had that kind of like fun relationship with his company, was kind of seen as like the company guy, like the guy, whatever it is. We have another guy that's like super hippie. He's like me, like from back in the day before like I got my life together, and we're going to call him like hippie AI guy. I was thinking of adding him because he's like so deep into AI, it's just like, but he's like at the same time, like out in like the earth, and like knows so much about herbs and flowers, and like we'll be walking down the street together. I love walking.
That's a very healthy balance.
Yeah,
like,
hey, you want to take that?
Very in tune with nature.
Yeah. It's like, if you take that leaf and you put it in here and you make a tea out of it, and then you mix this in, but don't eat the berry because that's bad. And like, it's very good for like, this, like he has like a natural remedy for everything. Anywho, but he's like really, really good at AI, and he's in all these groups. I was going to add hippie AI. So one thing would be is have a newsletter. I would think like an internal company newsletter. Other things that have come up on the show before, people had an IT tech bar, like a little lounge area in the company where one of the staff had to work every week, and people could come in and ask questions and sit down, chill out, and drink coffee or something like that. Something to really kind of like connect and be like, dude, I love you. There's no way we're ever getting rid of you. And like, we need you. And like, look at what you helped me do. So if it's entertaining, you give someone to help do their job better, and then you actually kind of like make them like think deeply about life. And it came from the IT guy. It wasn't an idea. I don't know. We're just making this up as we go here right now.
It's so interesting to me that your solution really sounds so much like marketing, and that
like a creative writer that worked at
Starbucks. Come up with ideas of essentially how to sell your own value. Like a lot of what you're talking about is like marketing strategy, and that may be a hat that is not.
IT guys have to sell. So the answer is, you got to learn to sell. I'm a secret sales guy that's like pretends to be like an IT guy. That's really what I am. But it's very obvious.
Obvious. No, that's interesting. Now I want to go back to something you had said before. You gave an example. I don't know if it was hypothetical or if this is like a real person that you've worked with who did a stellar job at their company. Everything was going so great. And then all of a sudden they're let go. Now,
that's a real story.
So sad. And I'm sure it happens a lot. Mm-hmm. Do you think, because if I were in the position of someone looking for a role like that, that would be really discouraging to think if I do too well, if I make everything happy, I may lose my job. I'm just curious, is it from your perspective more about everything's going so well, so from a budget standpoint we want to cut, that makes, like, is IT always the first place you feel like they look to cut from a budget perspective, or is it something else? Like, what would make that decision?
Well, the statistics definitely don't show that, because I think the average company spends 27% more in IT every year. So
It's just so interesting to me to let someone go that seems to have done such a stellar job. And if that is something that happens so often, I'm curious as to why. And is it just a lack of relationship building? There just wasn't that.
If you want, I'll pull up the actual text that I got in a message. I was going to see if I can find the actual.
Oh, you have receipts.
And I have. Let's actually, because when I say it, it's skeptical because it's just another guy saying it. When you hear the actual words of a human, right? Just standard corporate boilerplate stuff. We're going in a different direction, looking for new leadership, cultural changes. They provided some context about how I push back on their decisions, but that's the radical candor required from leaders. So not sure if that's a bad thing. Other stuff that's not important. But yeah. And I happen to know for a fact that this person made a massive difference and helped grow the company significantly. Of course, he got hired like immediately right away somewhere else and is making a massive difference over there. But that could be anyone. That could be any corporate. Who knows? That could be any corporate politics or something like that. But the feedback was pushed back too much. So there's this dynamic a lot of times in IT. They do need to learn to sell. They need to learn to sell. And that could be, who knows, need to learn to sell. Overcome objections properly. Because if you can't overcome objections and make people see things or understand or tie things together to the dream and the vision of the company, then you're just going to come off as, pushy or jerky or not not part of the team or like, who knows, right? But at the end of the day, CEOs and people are still getting sold by sales reps and Gartner Magic Quadrant and Insight this and Insight that and AI this and AI that. And one of the things that IT leaders have to deal with a lot is, hey, we just signed for this new ERP. We need that implemented in by March, please. Where was I on that decision? And that's impossible. And this doesn't implement with any of the things that we do. This is a disaster. Well, then you're not part of the team. I think we need to go another direction. Right? And then, who knows where the company, and then the company really experiences something that does happen every day. So again, this is not about IT versus the business or business versus IT. It's about IT not being a separate entity, having a seat at the executive roundtable and actually being heard. And if we don't know how to be heard, or we don't know how to sell ourselves or market ourselves, to your point, and again, humans, make decisions based on emotion and then back it up with logic, right? We need to understand all these things. And IT people tend to be very, very logical. That doesn't make sense. He's an idiot. I'm not saying I'm not saying that's what it is, because, Bryon, you're a very kind person. And I happen to know that you're very logical and technical. I mean, what do you run into? I mean, you have the dynamic in your company. You're all IT guys.
Right. Well,
that's got to be very interesting.
The thing that came to my mind when you were telling the story was that the culture of that company may have a problem, right? Because I think that, like you mentioned, just get this ERP. I mean, we've seen that with some of our customers. Like you walk in and it's a disaster. What happened? Well, so-and-so signed this contract and the IT, everyone left in IT, and we come in to try to solve problems. But I think that
really, that's amazing.
I mean, yeah. Well, I didn't. We have a thing called chaos to clarity, and people say, "Hey, we're in chaos. Can you help us?" And so we're like, "Yeah, we're jumping in with our fire suits." But I think the cultural element, which I think when you're interviewing, sure, you want a job, maybe it's a company's cool, but effective leaders are going to hopefully hire you because you know what you're doing, and they realize that everybody should be empowered to make these decisions, right? And that's not always the case in businesses.
What's interesting is that actually was the scenario here. That was the scenario. That was like, hey, I've known you for years. We need help over here. I know you're the right guy. I think it actually started off that way. So who knows? I mean, there's like 1,000 reasons as to why things don't work out in life. You know what I mean? It's like why people go through divorces and like after 30 years and like all this different stuff, and people change and things change and everything morphs, and that's fine. But for the sake of, IT leadership getting a seat at the executive roundtable and being heard, we're trying to move the bar and bring in the missing skill set, right? Which is, I think at the end of the day, learning to sell yourself, market yourself, executive brand yourself, and really connect with other people in the company and help them do their job better and drive the business forward. Don't just be the guys that keep the blinky lights on, and don't just like make the excuse of, we've always been a cost center, we will be a cost center. That's just the nature of the business, and it is probably, and it does depend on the organization. Oil and gas, for example, very, very hard to move the bar on technologies and business force multiplier there, because the margins are so small and everything when it comes to like commodity stuff. But yeah, you could potentially have trucks be a lot more efficient on the road, and all kinds of different things.
So you've had hundreds, probably, if not more, conversations with different IT leaders. Are there any major takeaways or themes that you would say you've, taken from those conversations that you could share?
Yeah, that's kind of how we got where we were, right? That was like, obviously, first of all, the number one thing after is that you've been putting out fires, forever. When everything's on fire, you're the most valuable person. When everything's running like a well-oiled Tesla, you're a cost center. That's one. And obviously selling security is a big thing. It's easier nowadays when there's more problems and everything. I think people are coming around to that one. Understanding that AI is not like Terminator 2 or something like that. The big thing right now is AI, and how are we going to implement AI, and where do we start? And I think some of the themes that come up there is like, what's your AI roadmap and AI journey? And I think we've got that one nailed down, I think, pretty quick, which is it's 5 steps. Number 1 is, what's your AI steering committee, right? Bringing in all the stakeholders, making sure we have all the stakeholders in the company for your AI steering committee. And this might be an opportunity to do what we were just talking about, which is be heard and get, and really be kind of like that leader in the company. Put together an AI steering committee to educate and help people understand the reality kind of AI and what it is. Number 2, what was number 2 on the roadmap? What challenges are we trying to solve with AI? What's the actual challenge? Is it even a number 1 challenge, right? What are the number 1 challenges of the business right now? So we don't end up using AI as like the hammer, and we're just going around hammering walls and putting holes in everywhere, right? Making sure that we really know that there's like, it's business first. It's not AI first. Like, we got AI, we have to have it. We got to have it. What are we going to use it for? I have no clue. It's like, no, like, we need to know what our major challenges are first. And is there something in AI that can help implement that challenge? Number 3 would be data. I think, do we even have the data cleaned up to be able to even do this, right? Data management to help us solve this problem. 4 is guardrails and security. Is this going to be leaking valuable company data to the public? Number 5 is ROI. If we do all of this, after we've paid for it all, done all the developing, we got is there ROI? We're paying for tokens, and we're doing all this. We got these agents doing this. Is it going to screw up customer service? Is it going to do all of this? And is it even worth it? At the end. So, that was that's a common theme coming up a lot.
I can imagine, yeah.
Lately, like, everyone wants to talk about, like, what are you doing? What are we doing? What are people hearing? Other themes, like old themes that I think are just always going to flow through the industry in general, are like the top themes and struggles that every IT leader is ever going to deal with. if you ask every single IT leader, when it comes to IT leadership in your organization, what's your single biggest frustration, problem, or concern? I love this because it's just like, it allows people to just think and be like, this. I would say that 1 out of 4 people will say training. We don't want to say end users, but training customers for the IT guys, the internal employees, right? So training their customers, showing people how to use technology, right? Every time you replace a piece of technology, you're going to have the metaphorical Sally that sat up front that's like, this is not the old key system that I used to use. This is like, or now I've got to use a mouse and click on this, or I've got to use a tablet for truckers out in the industry that we're always used to using paper. It's like training end users is going to be that, and training and understanding how your end users actually use the technology, because you'll find that they use technology in a way that it wasn't meant to be used. And then you'll be like, wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 would be silos, technology silos. Every company has them. What is stopping us from upgrading the silos? Time, problems, issues. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Our old ERP has been that way. All the new ones are terrible. There's no way we could go to Salesforce, blah, blah, blah. It's silos. I'm sure you see that a lot, Bryon. 3 is just taking decision direction in this crazy, fast changing world. How do we take a decision direction? And that can, we have projects, right? Like every IT department might have 25, 50 projects going on. There's no way they could finish them all. If they finished every project, it's like 2050, and then half those projects are already like obsolete. Like, it's like, how do we manage, how do we kind of like, that's an operational, like business minded thing. It's like, you were an IT guy. You're now the IT director. You're the CTO. And maybe you never had any business experience. You have no clue about, project management. You've got a Kanban board. You're doing this thing. It's like, that's taking decision direction can be difficult for anyone, even that is like a, super agile nerd, right? So that's another one. What is the 4th one? There's a 4th one that I'll think of here in a second, but those are some of the themes that come up. How do you deal with that? Hiring the right people, keeping the right, hiring and keeping the right people on your team. How do you hold on to really, really good people? How do you develop them, not make sure that they feel stuck? Am I answering your question?
No, you are. And it's interesting because a lot of what you're talking about are things that Bryon often talks about with hiring the right people and creating a culture where people want to stay. And so I'm curious, Bryon, what you might have to add to that conversation.
Well, I love that Phil's like you have field experience without being in you're not in the trenches with these people. You're talking to all these people and you're absorbing their pains, and there's some common ones there. And
well, my job is to help make those go away. And I think one of the problems with IT leadership as well is they don't want to let go. How many companies do you know that are like okay with like someone else managing their cybersecurity? The ones that are like overloaded and they're only a team of 2, but they got 1,500 end users. Like, I don't really have I would love to do my own cybersecurity, but I don't care. So please help me. So the team that does have all the right people, how do we, some people don't want to let go or let other people help.
Yeah. Well, that is a real challenge. And for me firsthand, even, 19 years ago, starting the company, and did everything, and like just hiring people like, oh, this person has a good idea, let them go, but I like this idea better. I'm really, and I've struggled with that myself. And boy, you don't want to ask me to do any IT stuff in our company anymore because these guys know way better than me. But if I were like, I think we should let's go back to Unix and this and whatever, and they're going to say, thank you, Bryon. That's nice.
Yeah. So if I was going to ask you though, so as an old hat, that's run it's not easy to run a successful MSP.
Right.
It's not. I was in that world for a very, very long time. And one of the problems that a lot of MSP owners is like, they're just, I want to be out on my own, right? Are you sure? Are you sure? They won't charge enough. Yeah. They'll be the race to the bottom on pricing. They try to beat somebody else. Then they'll be miserable and working a ton. I think you might have some insight into, you've had a lot of very, very smart people work for you. and this is for like, maybe some, because we're going to share this episode as well, and some CTOs are going to listen to it. Maybe they're thinking, I want to start an MSP. Maybe they got, but it's this applies to any company internally. How do you deal with losing, or you might have to lose, meaning get rid of a really, really talented person?
Yeah, well, yes, we've had, I could think of two specific examples where we had this happen to us. One of them,
but not only that, but someone that's like close, like you've been working for a long time. There's like, I know you're talented, but it's not the job. It's not there anymore. The vibe's not there anymore. It's like, what is it? What do you do?
Well, we've had some people. We've had at least a person that was, I call him a high performing jerk, essentially. Like, but they're high performing, but they don't mesh with the culture. They think you think they do. So sometimes partying with them, like you realize, oh, gosh, they're doing so much for the company, but the challenges around the cultural element is causing. So when they go and you're surprised, wow, it's better. Sometimes like we're a small company, right? We're 24 people.
Yep.
We've had somebody who left, and they were so ambitious. They just wanted to rise up the ladder, and like, we don't have those positions for you yet. Like we'll grow into them. We want to try to give you growth opportunities. And so sometimes you lose those people that are like rock stars, and they just have to jump to the bigger thing, and you have to let them go and just part ways nicely. But I think what we've learned out of that is that typical corporation, like you're an MSP, and a lot of people are consultants, and they're doing customer level work. Not everybody has to go up the typical. They think of the typical management chain. Well, I'm going to go up to manager and VP and this and that. Like, you got to make a really awesome technical track for them, so they can go, you know what? I want to be the killer. I want to be a senior or advisory. Like, make some levels for them, so they still have a really good impact on the business. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that was a great question. I just think that, running MSP is difficult. And I think if somebody wants to do that, if you have a CTO, so I could do this, just as they grow in their business, make sure that they're not the best technical person on the team. If you want to grow the team, you've got to become the sales and the leadership and empowerment and so forth. If you would talk to a number of your MSPs and you say, who's the best person on your team? And they have like 10, 15 people, and they say, I'm the best technical person on the team. That's a problem.
That's what we're trying to get at.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think you'd find that a lot of the good IT leaders out there are not the best Fortinet network programmer. I don't know, Forti manager, something like that. I don't know. GUI. Just throwing some random terms.
LLM, I don't know, some other
DDoS.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is, I hope this is enlightening for you guys. I could talk all day, whatever you want.
No, it is. I'm actually curious. I want to, and this can be for both of you, but I'll start with you, Phil. A lot of what we've just kind of started talking about is, hiring the right people and having, great people that are super smart and add a lot of value to your business and to your clients. A lot of that, I think, comes back to leadership and how you lead and the culture that you're creating. And so in our, pre-call, because I don't know you, before this, you were sharing just a lot about your life, your 8 children, your grandchildren, you're into health and surfing, jujitsu, and all while building businesses. And so I'm curious how all these different aspects of your life kind of contribute to how you lead and build culture yourself.
I have found, miraculously enough, and I'm kind of going back, I go through waves of work and non-work, and I go through waves of like creative waves where I'll have like a month out of the year where I'm just like really deep into like learning a certain aspect of the business, or I'm back into like, finding a new coach or reading or something. In right now I'm reading Clockworks. This book has sat on my shelf forever. I'll go and buy like a ton of books, right? And then I'm like, I'm going to read all these, and I'll be on Amazon buying this. And then, and what I've kind of realized is that when you restrict your time and you make sure, because I'm like notoriously an imbalanced person. I'll be like, I'm a roller coaster with health and wellness as well. Like right now I'm on a gain, but I'll be down to like 9% body fat, like 160 pounds. But right now I'm trying to get up to like 205 or something, and I'll be like, I'm a notorious roller coaster for various different reasons. Same thing with this other stuff. And what I found is that balance is important, and the things that are really important to you, you have to make time for. And when you're running a business, you're running, or you're a big time CTO or something, the harder you work, like time will always give it to you. Like I think like if you keep working, like there'll be more to do. There's never like an end to it, right? And I don't know if I agree with this like Hormozy thing. Like he has this thing called like a 12/30. Like do a 12/30, work 12 hours a day for 30 days straight. He's like, I've done like a 12/100 and stuff like this. And he does these different things. And you'll have other business. And I think that would work if I knew what I was doing all the time. But a lot of times you need to make time for strategy or learning or these different things. And maybe he's saying that's part of the time as well. But what's really crazy is I've noticed that sometimes where I've just said, screw it, I'm just going to work from the beach for this month. And I'm going to put in as much surfing time and time with my family as I want. Some of those months have been my most productive months.
That's really cool.
And I think it's because instinctively I know what I know, and I know what I need to do when I only have 4 hours in the day to work. And those 4 hours are very productive. I get done exactly what I need to get done. I'm delegating properly. I'm, like dialed in. But when I go to, all right, we're going to work really hard for like 3 months, there's a point of exhaustion where you're kind of just mentally drained and not being effective. And then all the people around you see it and you lash out at other people and you're like, I need to get this done. It's just like, you're just not as effective. So I don't know. That's me. I had the idea of leaving the corporate world years ago when I read the 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. I was working outside of DC at the time. I had the twins had just been born. So I had two. It was funny. I was talking about this today because I kind of remember holding my two kids like in the hand, like this, like crazy small, like 4 pounds each, And then I think they lost, how like I don't know, after you have a child, like they lose weight like the first week. So they got down to like actually under 4 pounds. And I remember like holding my two kids, like freaking out, like I'm holding two lives in my hands, and so that was the time in my life where I was getting up at 5:30 in the morning and getting home at 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night as a sales manager for that Cisco startup. And I remember I got promoted. I left Colorado, flew overnight. I was flying in the airplane with like 2 cats in these bags, and they're like, and like I was like really embarrassed on the plane. And I tried to open up the bag to like kind of like pet one of the cats. And I was like scratching my I'm like, get back in the bag. I'm like, it's gonna get loose. And then like I remember I landed in this place that I didn't know where I was in Washington, DC, and we had temporary housing, and my wife was in Texas with her mom, and I was by myself with the cats, and I had to find this place in McLean, Virginia, like 2 o'clock in the morning. It was raining like crazy, and DC is super crowded, and I'm in a rental car, and I got to this place, and I just remember going to bed. I don't know how we got on this story, but I'm going to keep going.
I love it.
I got into this apartment at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's raining, and I knew I had to go in to this new office that had been opened up because I got moved we were opening up a new market. And I had to go into this office the next day, meet the general manager, the director of HR, and I had to run a sales meeting with a brand new sales team of 12 people that had already been there for a couple months, but they were consolidating teams. And now there's this new boss coming in, me. And I've been on a plane getting scratched up by some cats, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and I don't even know how to get there the next day. And I just remember calling my wife. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm like on the verge of tears, like, oh no, the cats are in the apartment, and they're like, wow, all night long. Wow, wow. And you're like trying to sleep, and you've got all this on your mind, and you're like, holy crap. And somehow I went to that meeting and like nailed it. And like, we were the number one team for like ever. No one ever broke our records. And then the company sold. No, it's to this day, no one broke any of those records we did. It was like, we called it Teams Lights Out. And I remember telling people, if you like, you know, like if you just go help enough other people get what they want, you'll get what you want. And like, if you can just learn to do this job, you'll never have to worry about money again. What was the question? How am I getting to where we were? I was like, oh, time.
That was going a different direction because.
Oh, I know what it was. It was like, so I was going in at 5:30 in the morning every day and coming home at 8 o'clock, like exhausted, and just doing that over and over again. But for some reason, like I had the energy and it was great. And I knew exactly what to do. And I knew exactly what to execute on every day. Like we had like a model. I knew how to train people. I knew how to bring people up. And like when you have everything in place, when you have like, you know what to do, then you can execute on that like very, very, very well all the time. So I guess the moral of that story is get all your systems in place and then you'll really, really, you know, kick butt. But you don't have to. And then, I read the 4-Hour Work Week. And the 4-Hour Work Week is like, I was like, what do you mean there's a guy that can work 4 hours a week? Like I'm getting up at 5:30 and coming home at 8 o'clock. And one of the little lines in the book was, you know, you start by asking your boss if you can work from home, like, you know, like one day. And that was at the point where then I left the sales director, sales management role. And I went over to the channel, which is looked upon as like the dark side in sales, right? Because you got to work with people like Bryon and all the vendors that are stealing all the direct person's deals. When in reality, they're the dark side. You know what I mean? So I learned to work with like, then I was working with people that owned their own businesses, people like Bryon. And I learned a ton more. And I was able to realize at that point, you don't need to go into the office and sit in 2 hours of traffic every day. You can actually work on Zoom and various different products like that. So I'm a big proponent of work from home stuff. And then I kind of just like, I don't know, bit by bit started to optimize my life for the family. And so now, because I believe it's really, really important to be able to spend time with your family. I did not want to be going into work at 4:30 in the morning, coming home at 8 o'clock at night with, it was 6 kids at the time, not then 8 kids. And it just kind of kept going from there. Optimize. How much more can I not go into the office yet still deliver even better? So like my thing was like to my boss, I said, hey, look, I did exactly what Tim Ferriss said. I said, hey, how about this? I want to try a little something. I don't come into the office anymore, or I'm just going to come into the office half the time, but I will deliver 10% more. Literal like dollar figures to the bottom line. Sure, let's try it. I delivered like 20% more. I was, how about I never come into the office ever again and I continue to deliver 20% more? Sure, don't give a crap what you do, Phil. Keep doing that. You know what I mean? It was so, yeah, I don't know what the moral of the story is there. It's like, yeah, you asked me about like balance and doing all of that. And I think I learned somehow how to be highly efficient, but there's still this idea, this disease in people's minds that if I just sit down and grind in front of a computer screen all day, like something's going to happen. No, you need to be smart about things.
Well, you know, you were a high performer, you still are. And that you basically asked your boss to be empowered to deliver results however you want to deliver them, right? And you know your objectives. And so, you know, if you were super efficient, it's like, you know, and he said, I could do this in 4 hours of super focused work. And I would also say that, you know, the surfing and the spending time with family, I might have some of my greatest thoughts. I call them shower thoughts. I'm like just chilling in the shower, and you go, that's how I should do. When you're grinding all day, you don't take a step back and go, wait, what am I doing? It's insane or whatever. So I think that
I want the shower recorder. I really want a button on the wall in the shower. I figured out how to do it on my iPhone watch or whatever you call this thing. Like I push the new button is like the recording.
Okay.
Button.
Yeah. So
it's like why I think about you in the shower. That's like a famous Ben Settle subject line. No, it's a really good email subject line. Why I think about you in the shower. Someone's going to read that. That's how
okay.
I was talking about, I was in the shower today. I was thinking about you. And then the subject of AI came up.
I mean, I'd be curious. Yeah, I'd click on that for sure.
It's a good,
It's
you know,
good.
like that's a good, everybody, that's a good email to send out company-wide from the IT guy, Why I was thinking about you in the shower this morning. I'm gonna be like,
Exactly.
what? HR will be like, well, let me see what this is.
I was going to say.
We have the HR approved. It's interesting. We had a guest on, Dora Farkas, who was actually talking about the science behind a lot of what you're talking about, Phil, with this balance and this ability to step away and have, being able to pour into things that pour back into you, which is your life. And it's this, going from living to work to the opposite. And I think that, in my opinion, there's a big wave that has been happening that's shifting, in that direction more, where more people are starting to be more aware and not wanting to feel like it's just that they're living to work and they're wanting to have more balance. But I think it does require leadership and culture that supports that, which can be tricky.
I work to live. Yeah, I work to live, not live to work.
Yeah.
Famous line. Yeah, and if we want to go down the predictions of where AI is going to take us, it could be the ultimate utopia. Like if AI becomes so efficient, it might be to the point where it's just like money might not be a thing anymore.
I've heard that in the positive.
It's a possibility.
There's different projections, right? And I've heard that in the positive side, and that could be very appealing to just.
I mean, if it's producing food and
Right.
automated farming and like all kinds of stuff like that, like what are humans going to do? Like
live.
creative mind. I mean, it's just like, yeah, I think it's a possibility. I think that could be the key to, I think that could be the key to the future. Now, in the meantime, all of us have to like work hard. But if you think about it, like when I talk with my father, I talk with some other people that lived through like the World War II or World War I era, it was just like, man, some things were so grudgingly hard. Like my grandfather was he was a pediatrician before the age of penicillin.
Whoa.
Like think about that. Like it's not that long ago, like penicillin. I mean, we were around before the dawn of the internet. Like I try to like explain some of that stuff to my kids when I talk about why I think we didn't really land on the moon. And everyone gets all worked up about that. We didn't land on the moon. Like, did you see the computers we were using back then? It's 220,000 miles away. And you think like we couldn't even make an iPhone work back then, let alone fly some tinfoil to the moon and land it with a joystick.
My nephew talks about.
I just like saying that because all kinds of people worked up. It's science,
my
man.
nephew talks about vintage technology, and it breaks my heart because it's like VHS. Like, oh gosh, vintage. Phil, I feel like you are such a fascinating person. I am so curious if there is something interesting or surprising about you that you could share with listeners.
I'm nothing, to be honest with you. Like I'm just another man. I'm just like another man on the face of this earth trying to figure it out. We're all working hard. There is no I think anyone's lying to you that says like life's not hard. That's like kind of like the thing. And I was we remember the pain that we went through more than we remember like a lot. I mean, there's like, I remember my kids being born. Like I remember getting married, like I'm like those things. Right. But for the majority of us, like a lot of our meaning in life comes from overcoming a lot of obstacles and difficulties. And I don't think there's not me saying that's nothing special. Right. I'm just like everyone else from that standpoint. I was a dork in high school. I walked with my head down. I couldn't talk to a single person. I was terrified to talk to anyone. Girls scared the crap out of me. I was literally like, just like a frozen individual. So I think a lot of people would find that like a shock. Like I try to tell my kids,
including,
that, you know
actually.
what I mean?
You're very out. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, no, for real. Like I could not, like up until junior year, like I didn't like until, it was just like that was my high school life. It was, I think when I was up until high school, I was kind of like this, like kind of like hyperactive kid that maybe wasn't like that much, that like people are like, oh my God, shut up. Maybe that's still the truth. And then how did I overcome that in high school? I think I just think for teenagers and stuff, it's just difficult growing up. I think you just grow up, to be honest with you. Working at tech, I got a job at a contact center in college, Quest Wireless. And I remember every time you force yourself to kind of do something that's like difficult, like, oh my God, I got to answer all these phone calls now and talk with people. I got really good at that. And I enjoyed it. So then I started like talking with people on the phone. I'm a huge proponent of the phone. I think we do not use the phone much anymore. Like the phone is like, so I got good talking on the phone. Then I got married and like somehow I got conned into thinking like a salary position at Starbucks is like so much better than making $12 an hour at the call center. I loved the contact center. Starbucks was so difficult. But I learned how to hire people. I learned how to fire people. I learned how to manage a P&L. I learned flow through profit. I learned all the pain and suffering of a small business owner. And I think that that's what, and I learned to like how to drive sales there too. And that was kind of like my first inkling that maybe like sales is the key, right? Like I think Mark, whatever, who's the Mark, whatever the dude from Shark Tank, Mark, the Cuban, like Mark Cuban says, sales fix all problems. He's right. Just drive sales. You know what I mean? Like you've got a bunch of like customers leaving. Okay. Like don't chase, replace, like replace it. You know what I mean? Like sales fix all problems. Like I got like this inkling into that. And when you work at Starbucks, you're like everyone's local psychologist. You literally know everything about everyone. You know who's married to who's got this problem, who just got out of jail. And then I had to move to that Cisco startup, and I remember everyone's like, don't do it. It's like, it's going to be a fishing net approach. Like they hire a bunch of people and they just see who will stick. It's a total churn and burn. It's a boiler room, this, that. And I was like, oh, I already took the job, man. Like, no, man, I've got to move forward. Like, like I was like listening to Tony Robbins at the time or something, I was like, that's what like kind of like maybe, and like you gave me the inkling. And when I got there, it was like totally a churn and burn. It was totally a boiler room. It was totally like, we hire 70 people. Let's see if 3 stick. And I was like, dude, I've got 2 kids right now. Like my wife's pregnant. Like I've got to be the guy that sticks. And I remember we had to go cold call. So for everyone out there getting cold called, they're like, yeah, don't ever call back again. No soliciting. Click, click, click. Right. Like that was it. Like getting kicked in the teeth, gatekeepers. Oh, it was just so like, I remember the first week I was just like, put my head down on the steering wheel. I was like, dude, this model doesn't work. What are they talking about? Like all the old stupid sales tricks, like going to give them the Heisman. Yeah, I need to speak to the president owner, give him the Heisman, the hand to the face. Like, could you grab them for me, please? Thank you. And then you go turn around, sit down, like, oh, Karen up front's like, get the hell out of here. We shoot every last third sales rep. And I was like, I had to figure out how to be successful doing that. And I was like, you just got to help other people make their day. You've got to get people smiling. You've got to ask 5 really good questions, and you've got to help other people solve a problem. And then I ended up getting the nickname Fill the Need.
Oh.
But it was like really like, that like really embracing the getting comfortable being uncomfortable. I think was like what got me out of that. Embracing getting comfortable being uncomfortable, because otherwise you just get you go deeper into this anxiety hole, and then the next thing you know, you're like that guy that's like never comes out of his house and is just sitting in front of like the TV or something. There's a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
Terrified of their own shadow.
Right.
Like so scared. Like just embrace it. Like just go out and just like don't give a crap. Care about others. I used to like always say to everybody, like, before you talk with anyone, like it's all about them. It's all about them. Help them. It's all about them. And then that takes all the anxiety away. Same with public speaking. I noticed people are terrified of public speaking, right? Go out there and make it all about them. It's not about you. Like the more terrified you are, that's like very selfish, right? But the more you make it about them, it's less selfish. What can you give back to them? And then if you really want, just put them on the spot. Because who's more terrified, the guy on stage or the person in the audience getting called out by the guy on stage?
Sure.
You right there. Yes, you with the red jacket on. Stand up, please. Like, it's like, so I don't know. Just make it all about other people. And then I think your life gets a lot better. Don't care about, be generous. The more you give away, the more like that stuff, you'll just realize like that's kind of like the key. The less you care about money, the more you find that it attracts you.
Yes. I've heard that.
That's that's a great. I mean, so it was a journey there in that question, but it was really. I think the end really is. I mean, when you first started, like having to make all this money to support your family, and at the end, it's like just be good to people, and I think that seems to run through this entire conversation, right? Is helping other people, being helping IT people, helping your family, and so forth.
Yeah. I know I can tell you that's different about me. That everyone, like, I've literally had an insurance guy tell me, like, I can't talk to you anymore. I can never see you again because I feel responsible. I was like, here's what you can know about me. I don't have a penny of debt. I believe within living within your means. I own every single thing I do. I will not take a loan. I do not have home insurance. I do not have fire insurance. I only have insurance that I'm forced to have by law. And I realized that every time I had a kid, my family would be like, my dad's a urologist, okay? My mom one time said at the dinner table, why don't you go in and see your dad on Friday? You know how awkward that is? For what, Mom? Well, you've got so many kids, you're going to go broke. You're going to be poor. And like, nah. Are you going to keep having kids? It was like this fear mongering, I do the opposite of what everyone tells me is like the idea of success. You've got to build a credit score. I have a 0 credit score. I own 2 houses. I own all my cars. It's ridiculous that I don't have a credit score. Absolutely ridiculous. What do I need it for anyways? And a lot of people are like, oh, well, that's great for you, Phil. But I know it's just like, I used to live in a 2-bedroom apartment with like on low income housing, and our only expenses were $90 a month. Just keep building this bit by bit, because that relieves so much stress from your life. Like the less, what I mean? Like, I don't want to, I can't imagine like some of my family members, like I'm living, like I know they're like triple over mortgaged, every car's, I'm like, dude, I'd be so stressed out. So there's like something different about me that you might not know. But every time someone said, don't have a kid, you're not going to like this. Every time I had a kid, I had to get a job, a raise. Every time I had a kid, I got a raise, I got a promotion. Something else happened in my life, because I feel that the Lord above provides for your children and provides for the people, not us. So every time I had a kid, it was like my life got better. So, and I know we look like a crazy mob of people when we drive around with like a van, like a 15 passenger van. All the kids go out, we're in the super. I know it looks crazy to us. It's normal. I know, I was like, because I used to see people with 5 kids. I'm like, dude, how many kids do you have? Like, I'd go over to their house. They had 5 kids, it's like, I feel like there's like people everywhere. And they're like, and they're like, if you ever go to a friend's house and they have 5 kids and they're serving you hors d'oeuvres or something like that, you're like, dude, how many kids do you have? And you're like looking around, and then I think like, wait a second, I have 8, my family, we must look crazy. And I got 3 now I have 3 grandchildren too, my oldest daughter. So like when they all come over, there's like a bunch of us. So I know it looks wild, but to us,
it's only going to get wilder, because if they had more grandchildren, you're going to have you're going to go from a basketball team to an army. Like it's just a.
I hope so. That would be pretty crazy. I'm just hoping that, like all of this work, like I don't have to do anything. People will just be taking care of me. Like, hey, Grandpa. I'm like, yeah.
This is great, Phil.
So it might be the other way around. It'd be like, hey, can I get some help?
Yeah. Well, I feel like maybe this is a good end to this segment. It's or this podcast is really great. Learned a lot, and things that I've known you for a while. I learned some new things as well. I think our listeners really benefit from this. But for listeners who want to learn more about your podcast and your advisory work and so forth, where should they go?
You go to you'vebeenheard.com. Literally, you'vebeenheard.com. Google it. It'll show up on iTunes as well, Spotify, all that type of stuff. If you go to you'vebeenheard.com, all of our episodes are there. You can listen to all the episodes if you want. If you want to learn about the advisory, there's an advisory piece there too. Gartner level insight without the 6-figure price tag. Believe it or not, there's a lot of CTOs and CIOs out there that pay anywhere from $80,000 to $120,000 for Gartner every year. And I've asked them, what do you get for that? I'm like, well, we get a few tickets to an event. Great. How are those events? It's kind of a mixed bag of people. There's some noobs there. It's usually a sales presentation. Okay. What else? We get the library of all their stuff, but quite frankly, I'm a better Googler than that. Okay. Well, what do you use them for then? Sanity checks, Phil. Every now and then I need a sanity check on a decision we're making. I'm like, well, we'll do a sanity check for you all year long. We've got, I don't know, 400 CTOs that have been on the show and have been through your problem probably 3 or 4 times, and we can sanity check all day long. And on top of that, we know we have our, the other pieces like, well, what about the Gartner Magic Quadrant? Well, those are like little snapshots in time of a pay-to-play model of someone that's like, hey, look, Zoom is on the upper magic right-hand quadrant of Gartner. Nothing against Zoom. I love Zoom. We're a big partner with Zoom. But during COVID, they were like upper right-hand magic quadrant. But what will that not tell you? That will not tell you how overloaded their operations department is and how long it takes to get a deal installed and who the secret people are behind the scenes that can help you and who the VP of operations is on any particular department. And that's what we do, and we do really, really well. So we keep our finger on the marketplace and what's really going on and help you find, buy, and manage one-stop shop, so to speak, when it comes to all of your voice and data providers, internet providers, telecom, Microsoft, if you like. CSP is a little bit more of a, I'd actually rather send them to you and have you take care of them for the Microsoft licensing. But maybe Azure cost containment, stuff like that. But that's what we help people do is really kind of sift, sort, and make the right decision when it comes to technology and have some sanity around that without charging you $120,000 a year to be a member of Gartner. Love you, Gartner. You're necessary. But that's, we're, and then on top of all of that, we help CFOs and CTOs really grow their executive brand, get heard, and put them together in a room of their peers without a mixed bag of people, without sales reps in there, without, vendors or noobs or anything like that. Really put you together with your peers and collaborate, whether it be quarterly roundtables or get on a podcast and talk. So if you guys go to the website, you can certainly get a hold of us there. You can apply to be on the podcast. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. Phil Howard, you've been heard. DM me, reach out to me, and happy to talk with anyone.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Phil. I'll be linking your LinkedIn and your website in the show notes to make it a little easier for anyone listening to find you. Today's conversation is a reminder that IT leadership is not just about tools, contracts, or infrastructure. It's about communication, trust, decision-making, and helping the businesses understand the value behind the technology.
And if you've enjoyed this episode and our awesome conversation with Phil, be sure to subscribe and visit iuvotech.com for more conversations exploring leadership, culture, technology, and the human side of modern business. Thanks for listening, and until next time, stay curious.
Thank you for tuning in to The Edge of Excellence. We hope today's insights empower you to shape your future and rise to your full potential. Let's continue to grow, innovate, and lead, pushing the boundaries of excellence.